Hello again. Here I am with part 2 of Oliver's Treehouse Friends. I hope you enjoyed the first part as much as I enjoyed reading it. It's a beautiful story. And so we finished off part 1 with Oliver coming outside. It was a Saturday and he gets to play all day in his treehouse and he's very excited about that. So we'll begin part 2. Oliver happily climbed the ladder and thought that today he might be a pirate and look for tall ships with his telescope. As he was about to go inside his treehouse, he heard a grumbling sound. At first he was a little frightened, but then he decided to have a look at what was making the noise. He could not believe his eyes when he saw the koala and the possum. They seemed very scared of him, and so he said softly, "Don't worry, I won't hurt you. My name is Oliver. What's yours?" The animals still seemed a bit nervous, so Oliver said, "Would you like some gum leaves?" He'd seen koalas eating gum leaves when his parents had taken him to the koala sanctuary. So he went outside and he plucked some overhanging leaves and he offered them to the koala. Very timidly, the koala took the leaves and Oliver gave a big smile. And there's a little beautiful bird looking up. "Now, what would you like to eat?" he said to the possum. And then he remembered his granddad had a pet possum and he fed it bits of apple and bread, and so Oliver climbed down the tree and ran into the kitchen to get some food for the possum. Oliver's mum was busy in the laundry when he went inside, and so he grabbed some toast scraps and hurried back to the treehouse. You can see there's a little possum up there. The possum took the scraps and ate them with relish, and Oliver was so pleased he said, "I think I will name you two Blinky Bill and Hush." Sorry about the motorbike noise in the background. I do live on a very busy street, don't I? He said, "I think I will name you two Blinky Bill and Hush, because those are 2 names from my favourite books, Possum Magic and The Adventures of Blinky Bill." They didn't seem to mind Oliver anymore, and soon they had fallen back asleep. So Oliver went outside with his telescope to see if he could see other creatures in the trees. It's a very strange looking creature, isn't it? We're going to hear all about that in a minute. It wasn't long before he spotted a very strange looking bird. It was a tawny frogmouth owl. So that was the owl that we saw. So it wasn't a boobook owl, it was a tawny frogmouth, this one back here. It was so well hidden, it looked just like the bark of a tree. It seemed to sense Oliver was looking at it, and it opened an eye and gave him a wary look. He thought how much it looked like Oscar the Grouch from Sesame Street. Oliver kept looking, and it was then that he saw the weirdest creature of all hidden in the dense foliage in the gully at the back of his yard. It was a Queensland tube-nosed bat. Oliver wasn't sure what it was, but it reminded him of a kitten sleeping in a bag. Oliver kept watching the many birds darting through the trees, and the morning passed so quickly that it was soon lunchtime. Oliver's mother surprised him by bringing his lunch served with a picnic plate and cup out to the treehouse. He had an orange drink and a chicken sandwich and a pear. Yum, that sounds good. Oliver ate what he could and then he left the remainders on the plate. Almost as soon as he had left it, a cheeky magpie flew down and took a piece of leftover chicken. And there's the magpie there. We have lots of magpies in our garden. And then, just as suddenly, two beautiful rainbow lorikeets fluttered onto the balcony, screeching and chatting, started to eat what was left of the pear. Oliver was thrilled at the lovely birds and he wondered if other children had so many wonderful creatures in their backyards. Oliver played every day in his treehouse. He took scraps and leaves to his friends. One day his mum said, "Who is it I sometimes hear you talking to in your treehouse, Oliver?" "Oh, they're just my friends, Blinky Bill and Hush," replied Oliver, and he went off to play. Mum smiled and thought, Oliver, he's always playing with his imaginary friends. One day Oliver's mum had to go out and wouldn't be home until late, and so his dad was looking after him. His dad was very tired, and because he'd come home from a long flight and so late in the afternoon, he went to sleep whilst he and Oliver were watching a rugby match on television. Oliver felt a bit tired too, but he thought he would go and see his mates in the treehouse, and he took his snuggle rug and his pillow with him in case he wanted to lie down. He also took an apple to share with the possum, and leaving his dad quietly snoring in the lounge chair, he crept out. Dad woke as Oliver's mum came home and said as he stretched, I must have nodded off for a while. Where is Oliver? Asked Mum. In his room, I suppose, said Dad. They searched the house, and when they could not find Oliver, Dad decided to look outside. But it's dark, said Mum. I'd better get the torch and have a look, said Dad, worriedly. And Dad got the torch and he and Mum went outside. They called out, but there was no answer. They looked everywhere, but Oliver was nowhere to be found. Dad decided to check the tree house. Good idea, Dad, thinking that perhaps Oliver had gone there for a nap. And there's his parents looking for him, looking very concerned and worried because they're not able to find him. And so he climbed the treehouse ladder, and when he shone his torch inside, he couldn't believe what he saw. He called softly for Mum to come up the ladder. Come up the ladder. Have a look at this, he whispered and smiled. And there was Oliver, sound asleep, but he wasn't alone. For right there was a koala cuddled up beside him and a possum sleepily peeping around the side of the gum tree which grew through the middle of the house. My goodness, exclaimed Mum, putting a hand to her mouth. He told me about his friends, but I thought he'd just made them up, she said. He hadn't made them up, had he? There he is, fast asleep. At that moment, Oliver and Koala woke up, and Koala gave a yawn and a grumble and headed out the door, closely followed by the possum. I thought that when you said you had friends in the treehouse, Oliver, that they were pretend ones, said his mother. Oliver sat up and said, Kids don't have pretend friends. Mum, it's just that grown-ups can't always see them. That's what I said at the beginning of the book, wasn't it? Mum and Dad laughed, and Dad said, I think you're right, Oliver. Now, come on, let's go and have some dinner, and you can tell us all about your treehouse friends. That's a lovely story, isn't it? And beautifully illustrated. Love these beautiful, colourful sketches and paintings and drawings, all done by Bruce Peardon, the whole book. Okay, hope you enjoyed that one. I really enjoyed that. I'd like to read that again. And you'll be able to read this, have this read to you over and over again. You can listen to this video as often as you like. Bye-bye again.